Hello bookworms, my name is Hannah. Today I'm going to share with you my method for breaking out of a reading slump. Maybe you're in a slump right now and that's why you're watching this video. If that's the case, you have my sympathy. I understand how you feel because earlier this year I suffered the worst reading slump I have ever experienced. I reached a point where I could not visualize myself reading another book ever again, which is, by all accounts, a melodramatic point of speculation for me since books are my lifeblood, but I had arrived at the nadir of slump status. And once I recognized that, I knew what I had to do. Thanks to the method I'm going to share with you today, I was able to break out of that reading slump in one day. Now, my method seems intuitive to me, but every time I share it with someone, they're surprised by it, so I figured, why not make an entire video about it? Hopefully this video will help forlorn bookworms for years to come. And to be completely honest, the timing couldn't be better. I decided to make this video a few weeks ago, and now that I'm finally sitting down to record it, I find myself on the precipice of yet another reading slump. I've DNF'd quite a few books recently, and my first two Man Book or Longlist reads were a huge disappointment, so if things continue this way, then I will be deferring to my method for the second time this year. So let's get to it. My method for breaking out of a reading slump is something I call a book buffet. What is a book buffet? Well, I'm glad you asked. A book buffet is a stack of books, say 6 to 10 books. And the idea is to sample those books in the same way you would sample food at a buffet. Choose a set number of pages to read, 15 or 20. I usually choose 30 pages. Pick up the book at the top of the stack and read your set number of pages. Then move on to the second book, and the third, and so on. Read your set number of pages in each book until you've arrived at the bottom of the stack. When I do this, if I've triumphed at creating a successful book buffet, then by the time I reach the bottom of the stack, there's at least one book. Usually there's more than one book, but there's at least one book that I can't wait to get back to. And that's the book I focus on reading. I abandon the rest of the buffet and dig into the book that escorts me to the wilds of my imagination and leaves my reading slump in the dust. The key to this working is to create a quality book buffet. When choosing my stack of books, I honor a few helpful guidelines. I read widely, so I make sure to choose books from a variety of genres without care or concern for the recommended reading age. It doesn't matter to me if a book is adult literature, middle grade or young adult, literary fiction or fantasy, nonfiction or sci-fi. Age groups and genres do not define my reading selections. If you've been in a relationship with the same genre for the last few years or for most of your life, I encourage you to play the field. Yes, I am recommending bookish infidelity. In my experience, a reading slump indicates an unsatisfied craving, a need that's unmet because I've spent too long in one genre. The more diverse and varied my stack of books, the greater my chance of discovering a book that will sate the rumblings of my bookworm belly. Getting back to my guidelines for creating a successful book buffet, I always choose one book with a gorgeous cover. And this is purely an aesthetic addition to the pile whose sole purpose is to fuel my curiosity. When I see a visually stunning book, I can't help but wonder if its contents will mirror the beauty of its exterior. I typically put that book towards the bottom of the pile. In my mind, it's dessert. The final guideline is the most crucial one because it's a fail-safe. Make certain your book buffet has at least one irresistible reread. Harry Potter, The Hobbit, The Last Unicorn, The Amulet of Samarkand, The Signature of All Things, Strange the Dreamer, Mistborn. Just pick one book whose pages you would willingly surrender to all over again. By the way, you can breathe new life into rereads by reaching for different editions of your favorite books. Some examples. Perhaps you love Anne of Green Gables or The Last Unicorn. Well, have you considered reading the graphic novel adaptations? If you reveled in the subterranean labyrinth of Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman, consider reading the edition illustrated by Chris Riddell, or check out the author's preferred text, which includes scenes cut from the original book. Perhaps your copy of Harry Potter is worn and well loved, so why not treat yourself to the editions illustrated by Jim Kay? Yes, these books are pricey, but Jim Kay's bewitching illustrations make these books worth every single penny. And maybe you've read The Hobbit over and over again, but have you read the annotated edition? If you're in dire need of reading recommendations, BookTube is your candy store. There is no shortage of monthly wrap-ups and best book of the year videos available on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. I'll drop links in the description box to my best book of the year videos. I really hope this method and this video prove helpful. If you have additional tips or tricks for breaking out of a reading slump, please tell me about them in the comments. Thanks. Thanks, everybody.